Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to The Ball Boys, episode 3. This week we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So rather than going through all of the Premier League fixtures and reviewing them, we're going to review the transfer window now that it's been fully wrapped up. First team that we can talk about for this transfer window is Arsenal. So what we're going to be doing is giving a rundown of who they've brought in and who they've sold or released. And then after we've looked at all of the players and given our summary, we're then going to give a rating out of 10. So with Arsenal, right off the bat, biggest signing they had actually happened yesterday, which was Thomas Partey for £45 million.
The disrespect. I was reading about it on BBC, and they're basically saying Atletico was like fuming because of the Lucas Torreira deal going the opposite way. They expected a courtesy call.
I think, to be fair, Atletico Madrid are more annoyed with the player than Arsenal. The request to sign him came in 2 hours before the English window ended, because this isn't a global window. Ours is closing a lot earlier than the rest of the world's.
Fair, he's a very good centre defensive mid, and he shows that every time he plays in La Liga. And to be honest, I think they did good there.
For £45 million, it's a good signing. He's still nowhere near his prime. He's like 25 years old.
Yeah, it's quite young.
Throughout all the positions in the Arsenal team, DM was definitely the weakest position. So they had to improve it on that area. But
yeah,
there's just some parts of their team that they've just neglected to improve. And it's not going to bode well for them in the future. So yeah, I think it's a challenge for like European success and challenge for the top of the Premier League. They need to stop neglecting the issues that they have in their team. Most notably is if Mikel Arteta wants to adopt this like pass out from the back, they actually need to get defenders who can pass out from the back, because at the moment they don't. You can tell.
Yeah, even with Gabriel, it was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? Because obviously, I get he's a left-footed centre back, but he's not known for his passing ability. He's known for his tackling and his ability to head the ball.
Yeah,
quite an authoritative figure, but he's not known for playing at the back.
Yeah, like all their defenders, as soon as they grab the ball, they just feel so uncomfortable. But I'm a very big like advocate for, if you're on the field and the manager's giving you this game plan, you shouldn't be so like willing to follow every single word that they do. If you can see that something clearly is not working, use your own initiative and just change it.
I think a lot of people are forgetting. I think Willian was a very good bit of business.
For free, that was a fantastic deal.
I think a lot of the outs as well. Nothing too surprising. I think Guendouzi threw me off a little bit.
It's his attitude. It isn't the fact that he's not good enough. His attitude's just poor.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was going to say with the attitude problems they have with him already. Emiliano Martinez going to Aston Villa was also one that threw me off. Again, I think he deserved a shot at first team proper football with Arsenal. I thought it was brilliant for him. He won the FA Cup with them. You know, he was in that squad. And obviously, I think one they're all actually quite happy about is Henrik Mkhitaryan leaving. But I kind of wanted to see what he was going to do in Arteta's system. I would have liked to have seen how Arteta would have used him.
I think he had to leave, not because he wasn't good enough for Arteta's system. It's like he had this like bubble around him that he just couldn't play in English football. It's something he just couldn't do. He lost so much confidence when he was playing for Man United.
Even at Arsenal didn't go well, did it?
And then at Arsenal, no, he still didn't go well. I think moving to Roma is probably the best idea for him. The Italian football definitely suits like the way he plays, where players like tends to be a lot more slower.
Adam, who is your surprise buy from Arsenal?
It has to be Willian. I didn't see him just moving to Arsenal, considering he played at Chelsea. I didn't think he'd do a William Gallas, but he did, and it's a good signing for Arsenal. I think him, Aubameyang, and Lacazette work very well together. So
I think Arsenal's window, for me personally, I'd probably give it a 5. But the reason why I'd say 5 is because they've strengthened, but they've not strengthened the right areas. They've added depth into positions that they've already got depth.
I might push to a 6, but yeah.
Okay, we'll go 5.5 then. We'll go 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5 is nice. 5.5 is nice.
So moving on to a team I really do not want to be speaking about right now is Aston Villa. No one mentioned the numbers 7 or 2. Let's go.
I have to start by saying they did one of the best bits of business that nobody else did, and it's paid off for them. Ollie Watkins for £28 million was absolutely phenomenal bit of business because he was brilliant last season in the Championship. He scored, I think it was a hat trick. Was it a hat trick against Liverpool?
Yes, it was. First half hat trick.
He's a good player. He's a good player, and I think it's a brilliant bit of business. And it takes a little bit more. It takes a little bit less pressure off Grealish to keep being that man for Aston Villa. It lets him share the responsibility, which is always helpful at the end of the day.
Emiliano Martinez being brought in is fantastic business. Because last season their keeper was they swapped between Tom Heaton, Pepe Reina, and Nyland, all three of which not good enough for this level of football. Comparing to Arsenal, they've improved areas in which last season they deemed unfit for the Premier League. They didn't have a good keeper. They've went out and bought one. They didn't have a clinical striker. They've gone out and bought one. They lacked a right winger. They've gone out and bought one, Bertrand Traore. And I think another underrated signing when he played fantastic against us was Ross Barkley on loan.
Yeah, and keep an eye on Matty Cash.
Yeah,
16 million, so not too bad.
So there isn't really any outs to speak of and we've focused on all their ins already. What would you guys vote Aston Villa's rating for this transfer window?
I think an 8. I think it's been a very good transfer window for Villa. They actually look like they might survive this time, not just because of Jack Grealish.
I think Watkins is such a very intelligent buy. Yeah, I would agree with Adam. An 8's solid rating for that.
Aston Villa, 8 out of 10. Next on our list is Brighton and Hove Albion. I think most notably it's Adam Lallana. If anything, if it doesn't help on the pitch, it's definitely going to help in the dressing room. So I think he was a very good signing, and he was completely free as well. There's not really many other players brought in to think of, apart from Joel Veltman as backup for some of their centre backs. That's really about it.
I think the outs have been ridiculous though. Aramui leaving was a really big shock. I don't know. I just thought it was a big shock to me because I thought he was one of their best players. And Adam, I noticed your shirt. So Matt Clark, he's apparently joined Derby on a loan.
Yeah, he's rejoined for a second season on loan. He was our player of the season last.
Anthony Knockaert. He's left.
Yes.
He was so good for them in the Championship. He won Player of the Year when they came up. Brighton and Hove Albion, 3 out of 10. Moving on to the team that Dale Stephens went to, Burnley.
Have you noticed this recurring theme? It was like Aston Villa, there was Arsenal, Martinez going to Aston Villa, and then we've gone from Brighton. It's brilliant.
Yep. Again, there's not really much else to talk about with Burnley, and I think they've actually been weakened in this window with Jeff Hendrick leaving on a free.
Jeff Hendrick leaving is it's again one of those surprise ones that threw me off. Again, I'm not too happy with Burnley's transfer window. I just think it was a bit what that man does with no backing. I think it's phenomenal.
What would you say is a rating for them then?
2, yeah.
2.
I'd say
they didn't do anything.
I'd say 2, yeah, because Brighton didn't do anything, but they didn't weaken. All right, so Chelsea. So they've pretty much bought a full starting 11. Yeah. It's very difficult to give a rating to a club when they've brought in so many players and you don't know how it's going to work. On paper, you'd give Chelsea a very, very, very high score, but actually on the field, it works completely differently. Like, numbers aren't everything.
It's a really weird one on this because not everything that Chelsea have done has gone well so far. I think Chilwell was crazy expensive.
He's English though, isn't he?
He got the English tax and the Leicester tax. They're very good at negotiating players. Boy, don't I know it. I think Thiago Silva's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I get he had credibility, and but that whole mistake he made against West Brom was just a joke. It was just embarrassing. A player of that experience and that wage shouldn't be making mistakes like that. Obviously, Werner, he hasn't been hitting it in the Prem yet.
I think Mendy for 22 million. It's a good signing, but the fact it's the fact that they got him for £50 million cheaper than the player that they're replacing him with.
Yeah, well, their whole director of football's changed, haven't they? Their whole entire hierarchy is completely changed, and I have to give credit where credit's due. The business they've done is pretty impressive. What do we all think of Kai Havertz?
Good signing. He was definitely going to get picked up by a very, very big team at some point because he's lit up the Bundesliga and he was too good to stay in that league. I rate Havertz so much, and I'm so upset that we haven't signed him. To see him there, it's sad for me as a Liverpool fan, but I hope it works out for him because I think he's a very, very good player. He's a very humble player. I just hope everything works out for him. As much as I dislike Chelsea.
Yeah, he seems like he enjoys it. Obviously, Pedro leaving was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
But the one that really threw me off was Batshuayi going back to Crystal Palace again for a second loan stint. I don't know why he's staying at Chelsea at this point.
When he went to Borussia Dortmund, he was insane. He played so well for them, and because it was a loan, he obviously couldn't stay. But if he stayed at Borussia Dortmund, I think he would have made a brilliant name for himself because he did so well. Batshuayi and Haaland together up front would be deadly.
Oh, yeah, with Sancho feeding them balls.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek moved to Fulham on loan transfer deadline day. It's just the fact that I'm looking at their outs and they have like 50 million people out on loan. And it's just like, your philosophy is so twisted. I hate it.
Bakayoko leaving.
He's gone to Napoli this time. He's doing the rounds in the Serie A.
He's working for him, man. He just wants to leave. So there's a few first team players that have just been sent on loan. Barkley, Cheek, Batshuayi, Bakayoko. These players were playing for Chelsea's first team a few seasons ago.
As soon as you sign for Chelsea and it doesn't work out for you, you just get lobbed in this pit of misery because you're never, ever going to leave. You're going to go on loan everywhere. You're never going to settle in one team because you're never going to stay there for more than 1 year. Your career is just going to dwindle out. It's honestly such a cursed club. Who would you think is going to suit their style of play the most?
Werner for me.
Okay.
I think it's taken him a while to get started, but when he gets used to the English style, I think he'll just stop banging them in like he did with Leipzig. He's just that good of a player, in my opinion.
For me personally, I'm probably going to have to agree with Alex and say Kai Havertz because, and not only can he create a brilliant goal, his shot is lethal. He is such a good finisher. He's a little bit like Timo Werner, but playing in midfield. He's brilliant. And I think for Chelsea, that's a fantastic signing because I thought he had Real Madrid written all over him.
What would you rate it then? If
they didn't sign Mendy, I would have given this an 8. But because they did, I'm upgrading to 9.5. I don't think it's perfect, but it's as close as you can be.
Yeah, agreed.
It's a good transfer window for them. Yeah. A very busy one.
We have Crystal Palace.
Hey!
Again, look, a player moved from Chelsea, gone to Palace.
They're never going to stop.
They've not done too much business, but it's good business. Number one, keeping a hold of Zaha is already brilliant business. And bringing in, similarly to Ollie Watkins, when he lit up the championship, they've brought in Easy from QPR. He's going to kind of like take the pressure off Maximilian Meyer. Because when they signed him, everyone was saying, he's the creative midfielder. He's what we need. He's this, he's that. And he's the only one that they have. So signing Easy is going to help take the pressure off his shoulders. 100%.
Also allows Zaha to push the centre forward if needed.
Does, yeah, because Zaha's been implemented all over the field for Palace. They let Alexander Sorlov go to RB Leipzig. I don't know why. Just because you didn't like him when he initially played for your team, if he then goes to Turkey and scores 29 goals in 42 games, you keep the man.
Yeah.
You keep him, especially since your alternative is Christian Benteke, who scored like 2 in 2 years.
Yeah, I agree with you, to be honest. There's nothing Palace done that was amazing, in my opinion.
I think I'd probably give it a 3.5, 4, because I think Easy is a good signing.
I'd say 4.
Four, yeah.
And keeping hold of Zaha is like the best business a club can do. So I think, brilliant. Next team, Everton.
I think a lot of us knew Everton's biggest problem last season was the midfield was so slow and so painfully slow to react and get back into shape. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sigurdsson's a good player, but he's like a walking truck. It takes him about 20 minutes to turn. We were all going on to each other going, it's about filling up the strengths. And each strength they have filled out. James Rodriguez, a brilliant creative player. Alan from Napoli. Doucouré from Watford. Ben Godfrey from Norwich. Every single weakness has been addressed. Fair play. Yeah. Fair play. There was no mercy in their transfer window, and it's paying off.
In terms of outs, if anything, what they've done is good outs, because what they've done is got rid of Deadwood. Morgan Schneiderlin leaving, he was never going to get his place back in the team, especially with all the midfielders that they've signed.
No, he'll do good in the Uber Eats League.
He will. Niasse leaving, finally. Stecklenburg leaving, again, finally. I mean, he's going to be playing second fiddle against Andre Onana at Ajax, but I'm sure he's happy to do that. Theo Walcott is a surprise one, going on loan to the team who made him, Southampton.
Do you not find that quite nice? It's like a full circle, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's quite nice.
He'll do well there, because I think he'll have his passion back for football.
And he suits the style very well, very much.
Yeah. And they finally gotten rid of Sandro. I mean, he was so bad for them. He's finally got rid of him. Finally.
I think Everton's is as close to as perfect as we're going to get this window. Yeah. I think they've been phenomenal. And I think the one thing that everyone's forgetting is James Rodriguez for 20 million is absolutely insane.
James Rodriguez. That's the deal of the season, I think.
I think the reason why it was signing of the season, in my opinion, is because what Real Madrid didn't realise is that every single time James Rodriguez has played under Carlo Ancelotti, he's performed. I think if Real Madrid wanted 40 million for him, Ancelotti would have paid it. So getting him for 18, bargain.
Yeah.
Absolute bargain.
Yeah, Madrid are very short-sighted, though.
Madrid just wanted to make the easy buck. It wasn't the fact of, like, they're not playing the long haul.
What do you guys rate? Yeah, 9.5?
That's what
I'm personally a 10. I think it was a fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it was a fantastic window, but
I'll go 10.
9.5.
I will join you in the 10.
Yeah, Everton, 10 out of 10. Moving on. Team that I think rock bottom come the end of the season, Fulham.
Are we allowed to go negative in the score?
For this one, I might allow it.
10.
Because to be fair, like, there just doesn't seem to be any transfer strategy in Fulham. It's like someone opened Football Manager, typed transfer listed, and just signed all of them.
There's nothing about that team or any player they've signed that really excites me. And there's not much really. It sounds horrible, but there's not much to talk about in terms of Fulham this season. It's just a bit.
They brought in Lookman on loan from RB Leipzig, who was this like next big thing when he was playing for Everton, and then he went on loan to RB Leipzig from Everton for one season, played pretty well, moved back to Everton, didn't play a single game. Leipzig then signed him on a permanent transfer, still didn't play. Now he's on loan at Fulham. It just seems like their last ditch deals. Like Fulham are the bottom of the table. Obviously they are, we know that already, but they're bottom of the table. They're watching what everybody else is doing, and it just seems like they're playing fantasy league draft and they have the last pick. Yeah. They're just picking the players that no one else wants. Scott Parker is definitely not in charge of their transfers. Like, I don't really know what their hierarchy is, but they've got to have like this transfer committee, or the director of football is controlling everything, because Scott Parker It just seems that everything he wants to control is being taken out of his hands. He can't. He's not got no control over that team nor transfers. And they've signed Tosin Adarabioyo from Manchester City on deadline day. That's a last resort thing. When has he ever played for City? Not once. He's 23 years old. He's a failed youth prospect, and they've signed him.
I'm gonna go -2.
Yeah, same. -2 out of 10
Agree.
for Fulham. Leeds United, they've had a good transfer window. The player that they brought in yesterday as well surprised me. They brought in Rafinha from Rennes.
The interesting one I thought was quite funny was the idea that they tried to buy Daniel James for 25 million, and we somehow said no. That cracked me up a little bit.
Why you say no?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think it's because we realised we weren't signing any decent right wingers, and we just thought, let's keep him. He's fast. He's zoom man. Costa from Wolves is a good one. Rodrigo's obviously had a little bit better at Leeds since he's come on. Didn't start off too great. I think he gave away a penalty against Liverpool. Yeah, and then he scored. I think it was against Man City, wasn't it? He was the one who scored. So he's getting better. So he's obviously good little bit of business.
He's acclimatizing to English football. Yeah,
just takes a while.
They've signed some good centre back rotation as well, which is what Fulham could learn from. Leeds have done what many teams fail to do when they first come up, is improve the areas of the team that isn't good enough for the Prem. There's some teams who come up and they're a bit too stubborn, and they stick with the exact same team that brought them up in the first place. It's just not good. It's not good enough. They've done well. I think the only negative I could probably give with the people that they've brought in is they haven't necessarily brought in Premier League proven players. So a lot of them could be risks. But for the fact that they haven't necessarily spent too much money on those players, it's good business.
Yeah. No, nothing else to add. I'll give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I'd give a 7 with that as well.
7 as well.
Next team, Leicester City.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, Leicester were very, very inactive during the window, if I'm honest. They just sort of sat back, which is weird because reinforcing, they were so close to a Champions League spot last season. I thought they would have reinforced quite heavily. Castagne from Atalanta. It might be a high risk, high reward sort of situation, but
he's proved it already in the first 4 games that he's got what it takes to play for Leicester. I think all Leicester have to do now is just keep consistency because, beating Manchester City by 3 goals, brilliant result. But then losing to West Ham by 3 goals, awful result.
I mean, the owners are going to be happy, aren't they? Because at the end of the day, the Ben Chilwell sales probably covered most of their transfers.
They finally replaced Riyad Mahrez, in my opinion. I mean, Cengiz Ünder, he's a good player. He's still not proven necessarily, but neither was Mahrez when they first brought him in. So I think Brendan Rodgers just needs a little bit of time to integrate him into the squad, maybe see what he can do. It could be a flop, but then again, every transfer can be a flop regardless of the fee, even if it is a loan. So I think from me, Leicester's transfer window, for me personally, because of the fact that they've spent so much money on Fofana when I don't think he's worth that, and the fact that Timothy Castagne, I originally thought he would be a replacement for Chilwell, but he's playing on the right-hand side, so no idea what's going on there. I'll give him a 6. Liverpool.
Oh, Lord, help me.
Initially, with Liverpool's transfer window, a lot of fans would have given him a 1 because we've only signed a Tsimikas and we sold a lot of players. We didn't improve the starting 11. But if you think about it, we didn't necessarily have to improve the starting 11. I think fans nowadays are just so hungry for transfers that if you sign no one, then they want the manager's head. Even though last season we signed no one and we won the league by a country mile. So everyone who said that our transfer policy was needed rejigging last season, they're all wrong because we won the league. This season, I think the business has been brilliant. Kostas Tsimikas coming in for around £12 million. Good signing because it turns out we've actually had our eyes on him for about 3-4 years. It wasn't necessarily just a deal that we've done just because Jamal Lewis fell through. I think what Klopp did was brilliant. I think he took 2 transfer targets rather than one. Being rejected for a £15 million bid for Jamal Lewis and then wanting 20 million, and then going out to signing someone who's arguably better for around half the price that the original team wanted. Good business. And then like elephant in the room, Thiago Alcantara for 20 million pounds, technically 5 million per season, is a stupidly good deal.
Michael Edwards deserves a lot of respect for his work at Liverpool. Very, very brilliant sporting director. He can sell players that aren't worth the value for nearly triple the amount they're actually worth. He has a clear eye on who he wants as a team. I think Diogo Jota was a little expensive for a backup. However, it's worked out well, got a nice goal. He's clearly a very good replacement for Mane. Mane had the coronavirus. If he gets better soon, he's never going to watch this, but you never know. Thiago, absolutely brilliant bit of business. You guys held your ground. Bayern Munich played every strategy under the sun, and saying that other teams were in for him. That if they didn't pay the 30 million, that they were going to sell him to other clubs. And you guys held your ground and said, no, we're going to pay you 20. Like I said, personal terms, I've agreed with Thiago. We're ready for him. And it just worked out brilliantly. Again, you got a world class player for that money, world class. And like I said, you've got a very good backup left back who will play most of your cup games, who will rest Robertson, who obviously is an engine, but when he's fully rested, it's even better. So, absolutely brilliant bit of business in the end.
Yep.
What I like about you having Jota as well is he can play anywhere in that front three, which is always helpful. Yeah, he almost fits Liverpool like a glove. And can I just say how impressive it was that you got 11 million for Lovren? Ridiculous.
We got 11 million for Lovren. We got 13.5 million for Kiana Hueva. We got 23.5 million for Ryan Brewster.
Brilliant piece of business.
Yeah. I think seven's decent. Like, you guys didn't do anything ridiculously amazing, but Thiago really boosted it up to maybe a 7.58.
Yeah,
I think Thiago was a really, really good signing.
We haven't really seen him play yet, so it's quite difficult to give like a rating because
Dude,
many of
the best press-resistant midfielder in the world.
I meant playing in a Liverpool shirt.
Yeah, but just anyway, that's absolutely insane.
He is brilliant for 20 million.
I think
fantastic sign.
The only reason I haven't gone super high is like 45 million for Diego Jota is a bit high.
It is a bit high, but I think you have to pay a premium for a Premier League proven player.
Yeah, can agree with that.
I would give our window an 8, but it could have been a 9 if we signed a centre back. Is Manchester City. See, this is just another window for them, really. It's just, I have these issues. Let's throw money at it
and not fix the issues.
And I don't even think I don't even think they fixed the issues. They've signed 2 centre backs. Again, we're not going to be surprised. Both of a combined 103 million for two centre backs who aren't even guaranteed to start. They've got Ferran Torres brought in, who is a good like youth prospect, but he's not going to be an instant Sane replacement. It's just like, you know, when you're playing FIFA, yeah, and you take over a very, 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 very rich club, and
you just get bored in it.
Yeah, you get bored, so you just go, oh, they want 20 million. Let's not negotiate. Let's just go bang, 20 million. I got the
Why not? Sounds like a good plan. But I have to praise them for Leroy Sané because they mugged Bayern Munich off. They held their ground for a very, very long time. And they were like, dude, you're going to pay us this much. You're not going to get anything. You're not going to get him. And 54 million for Sané is actually a really, really good purchase. Sané's a brilliant player. I think Bayern Munich are happy with that. But I also think that's a very, very good buy. And not many people will talk about this, but Claudio Bravo got released.
He did.
It was kind of kept on the radar.
Yeah, he went to Real Betis. They just lost so many like big names in their dressing room.
Yeah.
Every single season they're losing another player. So last season it was Kompany. This season it's David Silva. It's going to hurt them a lot. You could see how much like losing a leader
don't
like
have a
Company
lead.
hurt them last season. It hurt them a lot because the amount of times Company has
They still
taken
haven't.
City by the scruff of the neck and pulled them through. Like De Bruyne's their captain, but he's not a captain material.
No,
Just-
he's more of a gets on with it and does his job
Yeah.
type, isn't it?
It's just one of those things where like we know when you're younger and you don't really know anything about football, so you just give the captain to the highest rated player in your team. It just seems like that's what they've done.
Yeah.
They haven't gone who rallies
Yeah.
the players together the most. Let's give them the captaincy, because if that was the case, they'd probably give the captaincy to like Fernandinho. I'd probably give it 6.5.
Yeah, I would agree. That's fair.
They've signed
Yeah.
some good players, but like losing someone like David Silva definitely brings the rating down as well. Moving to the red hand side of Manchester, we have Manchester United. Alex, what's your opinion on this transfer?
Well, first, green and gold until it's sold. I completely understand the anger of United fans. I completely understand it. Ollie hasn't been backed the way that it was meant to be. When we first had the window open, our main targets were, of course, Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish. That was meant to be centre-back links of Paul Torres, a new centre-back, new centre-backs, new CDMs, basically all the holes that United had. None of it actually came to pass in terms of this window, but I do think there's a few good signs. Donny van der Beek is a fantastic signing. His intelligence on and off the ball is phenomenal. And I think he's got every reason to play ahead of Pogba now. I think Sunday's showing, as much as I want to talk about Sunday, Sunday's showing was a highlight of how badly Van der Beek can outstage Pogba in terms of intelligence and in terms of desire, I think, and technique. I think Paul Pogba is a very good player when he wants to be. But sometimes you can't have that. Sometimes you just need, you want a consistent midfield. Alex Telles, one of the best left backs in the world, I think, period.
Such a good fee.
To get that fee is quite impressive. I slag off our board a lot, and I say they're very incompetent, but that's a decent fee. I think that's they did it right there. Edison Cavani, and I feel really bad for him because he's meant to be our marquee signing. Jamie Vardy's 34. All right, I'll say that. So I don't really think age is a major factor in his in the talks. I think what's upset the fans is obviously you were told we're going to get this really, really good right winger, this right wing that's been needed for years and 7 years we've not had, and then all of a sudden, we even freed up the number 7 shirt for this player, and then all of a sudden we've just given it to a free transfer.
Personally, I love Edinson Cavani. One of my favourite players in the modern era. His goal scoring record speaks for itself. He's a fantastic player. United fans need to treat him with more respect. I know that it's not necessarily aimed directly at him. It's more aimed at the board. But if you're Edinson Cavani and you're seeing all these United fans bitch about your signing, you're not going to feel very nice.
It's not going to be easy. I can't wait for him to bang in a hat-trick against PSG.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I honestly, some people are thinking that at 33 years old, he's washed up. How? And Edinson Cavani has never, ever, ever relied on pace. Not once.
Jamie Vardy is 34.
Yeah, exactly. But Edinson Cavani is the furthest as you can possibly go to being a pace merchant. He's just got an eye for goal, and he knows exactly where to place himself to put the goal.
And to be honest, with Alex Telles crossing into him, I think we're in for a treat. The targets that we were meant to hit haven't been hit. The outs have been. I feel really bad for Chris Smalling. The fact it even got that far to the deadline day is a joke. He's made it clear from day one he wanted to go to Roma permanently. 6 minutes before the Italian deadline.
So overall, as I think we could be speaking about this team for about 3 hours.
Oh yeah.
Overall, what would you grade your team?
6. Potential's there for, like I say, it's all about potential, isn't it? You've got those players that can do really well, but in all seriousness, Ed Wood was a joke of a sporting director. He can't do his job well. Matt Judge is atrocious as well, and a lot more players should have been gone. Phil Jones, Jesse Lingard, Marcus Rojo, Romero. Just embarrassing, man. Just embarrassing.
Moving on is Newcastle United. I think they've done some decent business. They've signed Jeff Hendrick on a free from Burnley, as we've already discussed, is very good business for them. Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser together from Bournemouth for a combined 20 million, because Wilson cost them 20 million. Fraser was a free transfer. If you're going to sign two players from Bournemouth, it's those two, because in terms of a partnership, in the last 3 seasons in the Premier League, no two players had a better combined goals together.
Jamal Lewis as well.
Brilliant.
I mean, like you said, good enough to be targeted by Liverpool.
So I'd probably give Newcastle like a 6.57, slightly above.
Didn't really have a future left in
United.
Newcastle.
Yeah, I would have gone for 7.
Yeah, go. We'll go 7. Moving on. It goes down very far in the alphabet. We go to Sheffield United. I don't really know how to rate them, really.
I'd go negative. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I'd
I'll
have to
go-
agree with you, to be fair.
And
In
that, I
terms of,
think, is an
like-
absolutely awful window.
Because if anything, I think Rhian Brewster's a brilliant signing in terms of a young player, but you look at the price and he doesn't justify 23.5.
It's just a joke. It's so stupid that you pay 23 million from a player that young who's never played in the Premier League yet. Aaron Ramsdale, you've gone from Dean Henderson to the man who can't save a ball. It baffles me. Out of all the goalkeepers, I would have gone for Romero. I would have gone for someone like that. What are you doing? You could have gone for Romero for about 10 mil.
They could have signed
We were like-
Emiliano Martinez before Villa did.
Emiliano Martinez, exactly. Players like that, where sometimes the backups are actually better than the first team goalkeepers, and this is a prime example. They've signed a man who's a giant and yet moves so slow. It baffles me.
I think their worst deal is not Ramsdale, it's not Brewster, it's nothing like that. They swapped Callum Robinson
Yeah.
for Oliver Burke.
Wow.
Just embarrassing, man. It's
Oh,
just so
it's-
embarrassing. I don't
If
know
If they
what's going
did
on with
this, if they did this 5 years ago, I think I might justify
Alright.
it.
All right, but how do you justify it now, though? That's the problem, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just embarrassing.
He's just wasted potential. Oliver Burke is just wasted potential.
I wouldn't be happy if I was a Sheffield United fan. And to be
No.
honest, with the way they're performing this season, completely agree.
They
Just
needed
stupid.
defensive cover. They needed a goalkeeper. They needed a striker. They needed a winger. Perfect signing they could have got. He was available for us as well for like 20 million. Harry Wilson. They could have just signed him.
Yeah.
Jordan Shaqiri.
Yeah.
He was available for about 15 million. Could have just signed him. He put a 20 million pound price tag on Grujic, Wilson, and Shaqiri.
I know Wilson was really targeted by Burnley, but they didn't. They were a little bit down, weren't they, in their evaluation? But I mean, to be honest, I would say this is a negative too as well.
Yeah, same as Fulham.
It's such a receding window. They've weakened their squad, in my opinion.
Southampton.
Congrats, Theo Walcott.
Apart from that, there's not really anything
Welcome home.
else to speak of, really.
Nah, Carl Walker Peters has made his, permanent transfer.
Tottenham have done well to get 12 million for him.
I don't know really what they needed to address in terms.
Well, they
of their,
sold
their
Højbjerg and they haven't replaced him, so that's already.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've also gotten
Yeah.
rid of Mario Lamina and Harrison Reed, both to Fulham. So that's 3 midfielders already, and they haven't signed a replacement at all. I'm not even going to go that high. I'm giving them a 1.
Really? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
1.
Giving them a 1.
Would you not give him a 2 for Walcott?
I
No,
think the Walcott signing's a bit better than a 1.
no, I give them a 1. If
Right.
it was, if they
Right.
brought in a midfielder, I give them a 2, maybe a 3. But because they haven't,
But 1 is like, haven't done anything in the transfer window at all. At least they
I'll
brought
give it-
something.
I'll give it a 2.
we'll give it a 2 then. But I still think it's a
Mark
1.
voted.
Next one, Tottenham Hotspur.
I think they've done well.
Yeah.
They Jose Mourinho, when he is
I
back
think
as a
they've done
good
well.
manager, not as in like he's a great manager. Don't get me wrong, but he's a smart manager.
Unlike
Gareth
Fulham, he actually
Bale-
does his research.
Yeah, he does. Gareth Bale coming back was obviously going to be a fan favourite. I still think the wage is ridiculous. If we're all going to slag off other teams for doing it, I don't care if Real Madrid are paying 50% of his wage. That's still 300,000 a week for Tottenham to pay. Sergio Reguilon. I don't agree with the transfer when it was done. I think anybody who takes back a buyback clause as well as a first refusal clause is a beta club and a tin pot club. I would never accept it personally.
No.
I think it's disgraceful. It's just a 2-year rule. It's just a 2-year loan, if I'm honest. But he's an incredible attacking player. As left back, he's fantastic. They really, really strengthened their weaknesses. In that All or Prime Nothing documentary, Jose kept going on and on and on about the right back situation, how he doesn't trust Aurier, and says that the guy's psychotic. Doesn't have that problem anymore with Matt Doherty. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
Fair play, brilliant signing. 14.7
yeah.
mil is not even bad either.
No, very, very good signing. I mean, to be fair, they got 12 million for Carl Walker-Peters, and they spent an extra 2.7 on a right back who's 3 times the player. So,
does anybody else think Holdberg is a typical Jose player, isn't it? He's one of those players where he might not be the most gifted naturally, but he's got something about him. He's just a typical Jose player.
He's going to Jose style.
I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I'll give them an 8 as well.
Could have done very well.
I'd agree with an 8.
Next team, West Brom. They're the team who got the better half of the deal from the Callum Robinson and Oliver Burke.
They also got a better half of the deal from West Ham as well.
Bringing in Grady Diangana. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant signing.
Is that a dog?
It's a cat.
How is that a dog?
Oh, I couldn't see, man. You're like 8 pixels.
You're recording on a bloody potato, man. But yeah.
Like 2001 call. They want their flip phone back.
One of the sales that I was actually quite surprised of, because I've rated him very highly as a youth prospect for years, is Jonathan Lecco. He's gone to Birmingham City. I've rated him for a while, and I'm very surprised that he's left. What would you vote for West Brom?
I would, to be honest, give them a 7.5. And the only reason is they've got the it's not the deals they've done, but it's the fact they've got the better half of every deal they've done. Fair play, man. The whole window is to strengthen your team and weaken opponents. And I mean, they've done it twice, haven't they? They've done it to West Ham, they've done it to Fulham. So fair play to them.
7.5 out of 10 for West Brom. Adam, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
One team that I think have had an absolutely woeful transfer window, West Ham.
Negative 12 already. Negative 12.
They've signed Thomas Souček and Vladimir Kufal, both from Slavia Prague, for a combined total of 20 million. Souček did well for them last season. He did get a few goals. So they signed him on a permanent deal. That's a good signing. Kufal is a little bit of a risk. We don't know who he is really. He did well against Leicester, but apart from that, never really heard of him. And then the amount of people they've let go who could have easily been good in their like rotationary team or even in their first team, it's ridiculous.
Zambaleta obviously getting too old, so I understand why he's been released, but still a big changing room, man. That's the big changing room gone. I think it's called, is he Albion Ajeti?
Yeah, he's gone to like 4.7 million or something.
I don't know. I think just deals wise, they've done a pretty poor. I think it's pretty poor.
They need to do what Bayern does and just stick to their guns in terms of price tags rather than just sell to the first bidder.
Yeah, and to be honest, if you're a West Ham fan and you're seeing that you've only signed 2 players and you've let one of your most promising youth talents go,
and one of your better players leave on a loan,
it's hard to get motivated, isn't it?
I'm giving them a -2. No, -3. It's worse than Fulham's. It's worse than Sheffield United's.
I'll give it a -10, man. Yeah, they've regressed ridiculously. I think that the fact that they haven't backed Moyes whatsoever, we've been stuck in a corner, and it's just a joke.
Yeah, it's a massive joke. Honestly, I don't understand. They are a championship team waiting to happen.
Yeah.
They are. And I don't think they'll come straight back up.
No. Adam, you've not really spoke too much in this episode. What are your opinion on Wolves?
I don't think they've really done much to the side, to be perfectly honest. I think there's a couple of backup options made available, but they've lost Jota, who was very good with Traore and Jimenez, and have they really replaced him? I don't think they have.
Well, they've signed Fabio Silva from Porto for 35 million, which is a punt on youth potential. They've also signed Vitinha on loan
That's not
from the exact
guaranteed to
same
work.
club. Exactly, so it's just potential. Marçal from Lyon, good bit of business, especially since they've loaned out Ruben Vinagre. They brought in Ait Nouri as well as another left back option. So they've got three now. They've got Johnny, Nouri, and Marçal all to play left back. So they've got a bit too many, I think. And then they've signed Kiana Hueva for 9 million with a potential of 13.5. Good signing. I think he's not necessarily going to be a replacement for Doherty. I think he's going to be playing second fiddle for a little bit. Nelson Semedo was a very, very, very good transfer from Barcelona.
No, I agree. They've done well, very well.
Got to admit, I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, £27 million for Nelson Semedo.
I'd give them a solid 8. To be honest, I think they've done well.
I think I'll agree with you. Give them an 8 out of 10. We'll give them a 7 because a lot of their signings is potential.
7, yeah, I think 7 fits all of us. So we agree the worst was West Ham.
Easily worst West Ham.
Definitely.
And best was Everton.
All right, so that was our ratings in terms of the transfer window. Let us know in the comments what do you think about each and every team's rating. Who would you rate as who's had the best transfer window? Who would you rate who's had the worst? Also, let me know in the comments who do you think is going to win the title and who do you think is going to be relegated by the end of the season. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. And this has been episode 3 of the Ball Boys. I hope you've enjoyed. And I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification to be notified every single time I upload. And I'll see you all soon. Peace.
Do it.